David Feherty of CBS Sports joining me right now. How are you, David?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Rich. Thank you.
No, thank you for coming back on the program. What's happened to Tiger, David?
Here's a very good question. I wish I were more qualified to answer. I feel about as qualified as I did when he came on tour. I was hired because I played golf at the highest level, and I knew what the best in the world could do from any given situation. I could make a prediction as to what might happen. And now, then I got Tiger Woods, and I felt completely unqualified because I'd never seen anything like that before.
Right.
And I think that maybe it's got something to do with his imagination. From my own standpoint, I'm cursed with a really vivid imagination, and it works both ways. It does. I mean, when you start to imagine things going wrong, boy, they really do. And whenever a player, and any player, gets to that point in his career where his anxiety becomes more precious to him than anything else, well, then this is the sort of thing that can happen. When you can't let go of it, when he was playing at his best, that anxiety didn't even exist. He went right ahead, and just like the Nike ad, he just did it. And if I ask you to put your right hand in the air, mm-hmm. And you do it, and then I ask you to try to put your right hand in the air, you'll do it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but right now he's trying, and it's not the same thing for him because, he's worried about the result as opposed to the actual act of doing it.
And the issue is also, David, obviously when he was first starting and playing like the meteor that he was longer than everybody else. They had to Tigerize the course in Augusta, and now players younger than him are hitting it further than him. And even if he had to rely on that legendary diamond in the rough brain of his in between the temples, now, as you point out, that seems to be at issue on top of it. And how do you fix that, David?
How do you fix it? I mean, the most extraordinary thing, one of the most extraordinary things about him when he was at his best, Rich, was his ability to fix himself real time on the golf course. He'd have a couple of really bad holes. He'd get mad with himself, and somehow or other, he'd managed to, tune that engine back up. And he had some of the most remarkable recoveries on the golf course that, he had all of the most remarkable recoveries I'll ever see. I look at him now, and I think, he's in good shape. He's in fantastic shape. He's healthy. All that he's got to do, and he's so stubborn and so strong-willed that there's a big part of me that thinks, well, all he's got to fix is his head. And people have forgotten what happens when he plays well. He almost played well back at the Masters. There were a few flashes there of that brilliance, but still interspersed with this erratic, this game that's kind of pounced on him. So I don't know. I'm absolutely not positive that he's gone. That's for sure. And a lot of people seem to be. They think, well, that's the end of him. We've got Jordan Spieth and Rory McIlroy. I'll tell you something. If Tiger Woods plays well again, nobody else wins. I was there. I saw it. For 10 or 12 years, from 1997, he came on and won the Masters by 12 as a 21-year-old. And until about 2008 or 2009, whenever it was, that it was unlike anything. My children will not see the like of it. Their children will likely not see anything like it in their lifetimes. People have forgotten what he won. He won a U.S. Open by 15 shots. The last time anybody won a major championship by 15 shots, it was old Tom Morris in the 1860 British Open, playing with a badger's testicles stuffed with seagull feathers. And that's the truth.
David Feherty of the Golf Channel and CBS Sports joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what about his coaching? I mean, so many people are even sitting here thinking maybe he should go back to Butch if Hank Haney might be able to reconnect with him. He's with Chris Como right now, who he hired in November of 2014. What do you make of Tiger's coaching choices and current situation, David?
There are a lot of great coaches out there. I don't know Chris, and I'm sure he's really good at what he does. But when you get to the level of most of these guys, And just take, for instance, the number one player in the world at the moment, Rory McIlroy, has Michael Bannon, who was the club professional at the golf club I grew up at in Bangor, Northern Ireland. Michael Bannon doesn't actually say anything to Rory McIlroy. He's a mirror. That's what he is. And it's not the players who know where the club should be who make the money. It's the players who know where the club head is. And that's the point. I don't give advice because I'm not a swing guru. Believe me, I can't even remember how I used to swing. But, if I were to say anything to Tiger, you just got to, pay attention to what is happening, not what might happen. And that's how you draw yourself back in. When Michael Jordan went up for that famous fadeaway jumper, he wasn't worried about whether it would miss or whether he would make it. He was just paying attention and just on the actual action of doing it. And if you're going to, add the club head to the ball in a swing, A plus B, in order to get C, you have to add A to B first. And that's all that matters. The result is when you start caring so much about where the ball is going to go, that's when you can't make it go there.
David Feherty joining me here now. So it's the U.S. Open week next week, and here we are talking about Tiger's struggles. As far as next week's concerned, where do you see the possibility of Jordan Spieth going back-to-back in a major, David?
Well, I think it's extremely possible. Having said that, I think it's also possible we might see a Spieth McIlroy, kind of a clash, which would be so exciting. They both have the ability to tremendous willpower, and they both have that sort of childlike innocence along with the killer's mentality as well. They want it so much. I first saw it in Jordan at the PGA Championship. In Rory, rather, at the PGA Championship at Valhalla, where he just turned into this satanic beast over the last few holes. I thought, whoa, who is that? And to see Jordan, the way he played at the Masters, to have that sort of strength of, intestinal fortitude at that age, and their games, Rory McIlroy is the best driver of the golf ball I've ever seen. Jordan, one of the best technical players I've ever seen, playing the course backwards, putting it in the right spot. So the U.S. Open, anyone who can hit it in the fairway and has that ability to accept punishment with grace as well, because the U.S. Open is in a lot of ways the easiest of the four major championships to win, because it brings everybody down to the same level when they hit it offline. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, or Tiger Woods' dog. You have to chop it out sideways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, the recovery game doesn't really exist. It's a chop and flop. It's what it is. Get it back in play, and then the tournament starts over again.
And did you hear about this 15-year-old Cole Hammer qualifying for the U.S. Open, David?
I did, yeah.
Can you imagine being 15 years old, standing at a U.S. Open? What that must... I can't even imagine the idea of it.
No, we're actually heading towards a sperm playing with an unfertilized egg. Yeah. That's where we're heading towards. I don't know where it's stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Is there a dress code for that, David? I mean,
I think you have to wear a diaper, Ryder Cup size. Yeah.
Well, there's your imagination you're referring to there, and in terms of that, I've had you on 3 times now, and I love having you on. Your show Feherty on the Golf Channel Thursday nights at 10 p.m. I told your producers when I met them at the Super Bowl, it's such a great show. You're great at it, and your producers put you in a spot that takes your personality, and it shows up on the screen. I love it, David. It's
well,
great.
You're very kind. I love people with low standards, Rich. You know me.
Well, I guess that's the Emmy voters, too, because you've been nominated for it, David.
Oh, dear. Yeah. I don't know about that. Bob Costas wins it every time. I can't beat Bob. Nobody can beat Bob.
No, he's unbeatable. He's unbeatable. David, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. We'll chat down the line.
Anytime. Thanks, Rich.
You bet. That's David Feherty, CBS Sports and the Golf Channel. Again, Feherty is a great program.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.